What's up, Bills Mafia? Buckle up because the initial 53-man roster is finally here, and we've got a lot to unpack. After months of speculation, training camp battles, preseason highs and lows, surprise performances, and tough decisions, the Buffalo Bills have locked in the first official version of their 2025 roster. Now, I say first version for a reason. This thing is fluid. It's a living, breathing organism that's going to shift, possibly even tomorrow. But right now, this is the core group gearing up to take the field in Week 1 against the Baltimore Ravens. And let me tell you, there's some interesting wrinkles in this year's setup. Let's start right where it always begins, under center. No surprises here. The Bills are rolling with two quarterbacks, Josh Allen as the undisputed starter and Mitch Trubisky backing him up. That's the number they've consistently liked to keep, and it plays out exactly as expected. Now, Mike White and Shane Buechele both got the cut, and here's where things get a little interesting. If both clear waivers, and that's an if, they become eligible to return to the practice squad. So now the real question becomes, if both are available, which one do the Bills prioritize? Buechele has long been a fixture in that scout team QB role. He knows the drill, he's run opposing offenses, he's got the rhythm of being a backup's backup. But Mike White was battling for that number 2 spot not long ago. So it's a bit of a toss-up. Do they stick with the familiarity of Buechele, or do they see more upside in keeping White close? Either way, both were serviceable during the preseason, and the decision might come down to who fits the long-term development plan better. But for now, the QB room is Allen and Trubisky, and the rest will play itself out. Now let's slide into the backfield, running backs. The Bills are keeping 4 total, including fullback Reggie Gilliam. So it's James Cook, Ray Davis, Ty Johnson, and Gilliam holding it down. Elijah Young and Frank Gore Jr. are the odd men out, and of those two, Gore Jr. is the one everyone's keeping an eye on. He's had back-to-back solid preseasons, flashed some real burst, showed vision and toughness. But when it comes down to it, he's still a depth piece. If no team claims him, which is likely, because claiming a player means you've got to keep him on your active 53, then Gore Jr. likely comes back to Buffalo on the practice squad. It's a scenario we've seen time and time again. Raheem Blackshear, Antonio Williams, you know the drill. Guys flash, get released, clear waivers, and return to Orchard Park. So while there's always some anxiety around losing a young talent, odds are good Frank Gore Jr. sticks around in some capacity. Let's talk receivers. This is where things get a little spicy. Heading into camp, a lot of people had penciled in 5 wide receivers. But Tyrell Shavers forced the Bills' hand and made it 6. That's right. After 2 years grinding on the practice squad, Shavers exploded during training camp and preseason. He balled out. Plain and simple. You can't look at the tape and tell me he didn't earn it. This wasn't a courtesy nod. He made himself undeniable. And that's the culture this team has built. Earn your spot, or watch someone else take it. So he joins Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, Josh Palmer, Curtis Samuel, and Elijah Moore on the active roster. And what makes this especially exciting is that Shavers brings something unique to the table: length, verticality, perimeter presence, and special teams ability. He checks a lot of boxes. In fact, if he proves himself on special teams, I wouldn't be shocked if he ends up being active on game days over someone like Elijah Moore, who's more of a backup slot and doesn't bring as much to special teams. So for Shavers, this is not just a feel-good story. This is a legit opportunity. And I love seeing a guy take the long road and make it. Practice squad to the 53. That's a path we've seen before. Cam Lewis, Jamarcus Ingram, Ike Becker. Now it's Shavers' turn. As for the ones who didn't make it, Stephen Gosnell, Grant Dubose, Laviska Shenault, KJ Hamler, Deion Kane, Christian Wilkerson, tough breaks, but none of them had the camp that Shavers had. It's just the truth. Tight end. No drama there. Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox, and rookie Jackson Hom make the cut. Haw validated his selection by doing exactly what the team hoped he would do: blocking with authority, contributing on special teams, and showing just enough upside to warrant the 3rd spot. Matt Soul, Key Lou, and Zach Davidson all get released, but that tight end room is as steady as they come. Knox and Kincaid are your top 2. Haw is your developmental piece with blocking ability. Done and dusted. Now, let's get into the trenches. Offensive line. The Bills are rolling with 9. Your starters are exactly who you'd expect. Deion Dawkins at left tackle, Connor McGovern and David Edwards holding down the left guard and center spots, Osiris Torrance at right guard, and Spencer Brown at right tackle. Backing them up, you've got Alec Anderson, Ryan Van DeMark, Chase Lunt, and Cedric Van Prangranger. Let's talk about Cedric Van Prangranger. The guy missed the entire training camp and preseason with a calf injury. Didn't take a single snap, but the Bills activated him for the PUP list anyway and added him to the active roster. That tells you a lot. First, it tells you that his recovery is further along than we might have assumed. But more importantly, it says the coaching staff has a high level of confidence in this guy. They could have stashed him longer. They could have bought more time, but they didn't. They want him in the building and contributing now. For a second-year player who barely saw the field as a rookie, that's a massive vote of confidence. Meanwhile, Chase Lunt making the roster appears to be a direct result of Kylan Grable's ongoing concussion situation. Grable was placed on IR with designation to return, and the team needed another body to cover the interior spots. Once Grable is cleared, expect Lunt to be released and likely brought back on the practice squad. It's a temporary placeholder situation. Anderson is probably your first interior backup, Van DeMark the top swing tackle, and Van Prangranger a developmental depth piece with upside. As for the cuts, Rush Reimer, Richard Garage, Mike Edwards, Jacob Bayer, Dan Feeney, Travis Clayton, and Kendrick Green all get the boot. Travis Clayton is a unique case, though. He's part of the International Pathway Program, which allows teams to carry a 17th practice squad player exclusively for international players. Clayton's a rugby convert from England, and while he's still raw, he actually got reps in preseason games this year. That's a step forward. He's still a long shot, but there's at least a flicker of hope there. Expect him to land on the practice squad with that bonus exemption. I do hope the team finds a way to get either Dan Feeney or Kendrick Green back in the building. Having a vet presence on the practice squad is valuable, especially in the trenches where injuries pile up fast. We'll see how that plays out. Now let's shift gears and take a look at the linebacker group, where the Bills made a slightly surprising but very welcome decision to carry only 5. This is something that's been debated for years, whether the Bills were keeping too many linebackers in seasons past. But finally, it feels like they found the sweet spot, trimming the fat and sticking with the core. The 5 who made the cut, Terrell Bernard, Matt Milano, Dorian Williams, Joe Andre, and a surprise name that really caught my eye, Shaq Thompson. Shaq might not have been the flashiest signing post-draft, and honestly, a lot of people kind of brushed it off when it happened. But the guy earned it. He's got starting experience, he's worn the green dot in the NFL, he can play multiple spots, and more importantly, he was consistent throughout training camp. When you're evaluating linebacker depth, it's not always about the highlight plays. It's about trust, communication, assignment soundness. And Shaq showed enough of that to beat out names like Edwin Yolojo, a former 5th-round pick, and Ballon Spector, who had already been let go. There's a certain level of maturity and readiness that Thompson brings to this group. He's not here to develop. He's here to plug and play if called upon. That's a valuable piece to have behind Bernard and Milano, especially in a defense that leans heavily on those off-ball linebacker roles. Joe Andre is a developmental guy, a bit more raw, but you can see why they're intrigued by his physical tools. Dorian Williams showed flashes last year, and now he's expected to take on more responsibility. So it's a well-rounded, versatile group. Yolojo, Jimmy Charlo, and KJ Jenkins didn't make the cut, but some of them may return on the practice squad. Still, keeping 5 here instead of 6 opens up flexibility elsewhere. Now let's jump into the secondary, specifically the cornerback room, where I think there's a real feel-good storyline brewing. And it starts with the news that Maxwell Hairston is going to start the season on injured reserve, designated to return. Now, this isn't ideal, but it's not devastating either. The guy flashed in camp, both the good and the bad. You saw the raw talent, but you also saw some coverage busts and moments where it was clear he wasn't quite NFL ready. Now throw a knee injury into that mix, and the coaching staff made the right call. Get him healthy. Let him mentally reset. Then bring him back when he's ready to contribute. No need to rush it. His ceiling is still sky high. What this also tells me is that the Bills might have dodged a bullet with Tre'Davious White. When they released Dane Jackson, who, by the way, started nearly 30 games over the past few seasons, it told you all you needed to know. If there was legitimate concern that White wouldn't be available for Week 1, you don't let Jackson walk. You just don't. So the fact that Dane's out, Hairston's on IR, and the corner group still looks solid is a really encouraging sign. So who made it? Christian Benford, Taron Johnson, Tre'Davious White, Jamarcus Ingram, Dorian Strong, and Brandon Codrington. Now, Codrington is the name everyone's talking about, not because of his coverage ability, but because of what he brings to special teams. He's a return specialist, and that's basically all he does. He doesn't play other special teams units. He doesn't play defense. He's a one-trick pony, but man, it's a good trick. He's clearly the best returner the Bills have right now, and that's saying something. Sean McDermott came out and said that 3 players made this roster strictly for special teams value, not counting the long snapper, kicker, and punter. Codrington is clearly one of them. And I get it. Nobody else on this roster can return punts or kicks like he can. It keeps Khalil Shakir off punt return duties, which is great because you want him focusing on offense. And it means you don't have to risk Ty Johnson or Ray Davis in kick return situations. It's a little disappointing that Codrington doesn't offer anything more, but if his job is simply to catch the ball cleanly, get upfield, and maybe flip the field every now and then fine. He's good at that. And that role might be more valuable this season than people realize. That said, once Hairston is ready to come back, or if the team finds another return option midseason, Codrington might be one of the first guys on the chopping block. It's a fragile role, but for now, he's in. And I'm okay with that. Now, the question becomes, if White can't go Week 1, who's starting opposite Benford? Is it Jamarcus Ingram? Or is it Dorian Strong? Strong has played over Ingram in the preseason games, which tells me he's probably ahead on the depth chart right now. And if that's the case, that's a big moment for the rookie. Starting on the outside in a Week 1 matchup against Baltimore is no joke. The Ravens can stretch the field. They can run the ball. That secondary is going to get tested early and often. If Strong really is next man up, we're going to find out fast what he's made of. Moving to safety, the Bills are rolling with 5 here too, which makes sense given the way this defense operates. Jordan Poyer's departure created a vacuum, and the team has clearly taken a committee approach to filling that gap. So who made it? Taylor Rapp, Cole Bishop, Damar Hamlin, Cam Lewis, and Jordan Hancock. Rapp is your veteran leader. Bishop is your ascending rookie with the range and athleticism to cover ground. Hamlin is a steady contributor with a heartwarming comeback story that never gets old. Cam Lewis continues to prove his value as a hybrid defender who can drop into the slot, play in the box, or even contribute on special teams. And Hancock, another interesting case. He showed enough in the preseason to suggest he belongs. He's got instincts. He's physical, and he's someone the team clearly wants to keep developing. One cut that surprised me a bit was Derek Forrest. When the Bills signed him, I thought he had a real shot. I liked what he put on tape in Cincinnati. I liked what he showed in flashes with Washington. But for whatever reason, it just didn't come together in Buffalo. He didn't stand out in camp. He didn't make plays in preseason. And when you're trying to grab the last spot in a deep safety room, you have to flash. He didn't. Simple as that. It's disappointing, but not shocking. And considering the contract was minimal, there's not much lost here. He's still young, and he could end up elsewhere. But it's now 3 years running where he hasn't found a role. That window might be closing. But if we've learned anything from Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott, it's this. The roster you see in August is rarely the roster you see in December. This is just the beginning. Before we dive back in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest Buffalo Bills updates straight to your screen. And hey, don't hold back. Let us know your thoughts on today's news down in the comments. Whispers in the NFL corridors have reached a fever pitch following the stunning revelation that Nick BOSA, long considered the bedrock of the San Francisco 49ers defensive line, has abruptly abandoned the team to sign with the Buffalo Bills. Sources suggest that behind the scenes, tensions had been simmering for months, with BOSA reportedly frustrated over contract negotiations team strategy disagreements, and perhaps even locker room politics that he felt hindered his full potential in San Francisco. While the 49ers have remained stoic in public statements, insiders reveal a sense of betrayal permeating the organization, as fans and teammates alike struggle to reconcile with the sudden departure of a player who had become synonymous with the team's defensive identity. Meanwhile, the Bills are rumored to have been orchestrating this move meticulously, leveraging both financial incentives and the promise of a championship-contending roster to lure BOSA to Buffalo. The league is abuzz with speculation on how this seismic shift will ripple through both teams' dynamics, with commentators debating whether the 49ers can recover from the loss of a player whose mere presence demanded attention from opposing offenses. Conversations around the NFL landscape now revolve around whether this transaction signals a new era of aggressive player movement or if it represents an isolated act of disloyalty that will haunt the 49ers for years to come. The immediate aftermath of BOSA's decision has sparked a flurry of social media outrage and analytical speculation, with 49ers fans expressing a mixture of disbelief, anger, and confusion over what they perceive as a betrayal from one of the team's most iconic figures. Discussions have been dominated by the question of motive, with some insiders hinting at the possibility of deeper strategic disagreements within the 49ers front office, which may have pushed BOSA towards seeking greener pastures. Meanwhile, Buffalo supporters are celebrating what they see as a coup of monumental proportions, with the team reportedly prepared to integrate BOSA seamlessly into their defensive schemes to maximize his impact from day one. Analysts are drawing comparisons to other high-profile NFL defections, exploring how a single player's departure can alter not only the fortunes of the involved teams, but also the psychology of an entire league. Betting lines are shifting. Championship projections are being recalculated, and sports media networks are dedicating primetime coverage to unraveling every conceivable implication of this move. The narrative of loyalty, ambition, and financial leverage intertwines with the human drama of professional sports, creating an atmosphere where speculation and rumor thrive, and the line between truth and conjecture becomes increasingly blurred in the minds of fans and commentators alike. Insiders hint that BOSA's departure was not merely a financial decision, but a statement, a calculated move that underscores the growing influence of star players in shaping the destinies of their franchises. The 49ers, long admired for their strategic coherence and defensive prowess, are now reportedly scrambling to fill the void left by a player whose combination of skill, leadership, and intimidation factor was considered irreplaceable. Meanwhile, the Bills are rumored to have built a long-term plan around BOSA, envisioning him as the linchpin in a defense designed to dominate both the AFC and the wider league. Analysts are dissecting every detail, from contract clauses and signing bonuses to potential locker room chemistry and the subtle psychological impact of such a high-profile acquisition. Fans are left oscillating between anger and admiration, wrestling with the idea that a player's career trajectory may justify what feels like a personal betrayal to those who have supported him unconditionally. Social media continues to churn out theories, some claiming insider knowledge of secret meetings, while others speculate on the possible ripple effects on upcoming draft picks and team morale. In this charged atmosphere, every rumor gains traction, every leak becomes a headline, and every whisper is amplified into a narrative that keeps the NFL ecosystem in constant suspense. The league itself appears captivated by the ramifications of BOSA's decision, as commentators, coaches, and fellow players weigh in on the broader implications of such a dramatic mid-career move. Conversations revolve not only around immediate on-field consequences, but also the precedent set for player autonomy, negotiation leverage, and the cultural ethos of loyalty within professional football. Rumors suggest that internal communications within the 49ers were fraught with tension leading up to the departure, with speculation about whether management could have prevented the exit through proactive engagement or if BOSA's decision was inevitable given his career trajectory and personal ambitions. Meanwhile, Buffalo insiders are rumored to be celebrating quietly, confident that the addition of a player of BOSA's caliber will serve as a catalyst for a resurgence in defensive dominance. Sports analysts debate the potential matchups, defensive schemes, and playoff scenarios that could emerge from this new configuration, dissecting how a single personnel shift can trigger a cascade of tactical adjustments throughout the league. Fans, journalists, and commentators alike have latched onto every fragment of information, fueling an endless cycle of rumor, speculation, and debate, where certainty is elusive and the allure of insider knowledge dominates the conversation, creating an ongoing drama that transcends the game itself and enters the realm of narrative spectacle. As the dust settles, attention turns to the emotional and cultural dimensions of BOSA's move, which appears to symbolize a tension between personal ambition and collective loyalty in modern sports. Analysts note that the move challenges traditional notions of franchise allegiance, raising questions about how athletes balance career growth, financial security, and personal fulfillment against fan expectations and organizational history. Rumors abound regarding the potential reactions of teammates, coaches, and former mentors, with speculation about locker room dynamics and the psychological impact of such a high-profile defection. Media coverage has intensified, amplifying every possible angle from contract strategy to emotional narratives, while fan forums erupt with heated debates, ranging from condemnation to grudging admiration for BOSA's decisiveness. At the same time, Buffalo's front office reportedly moves swiftly to capitalize on the momentum, planning not only on-field integration, but also branding and marketing campaigns that leverage BOSA's notoriety and the dramatic narrative surrounding his arrival. In the end, the story transcends football, evolving into a complex interplay of loyalty, ambition, media spectacle, and rumor, capturing the imagination of fans and commentators alike, and leaving a lingering question over the NFL landscape. Can any franchise truly feel secure when the potential for seismic betrayal looms? And what does this mean for the culture of professional football in the years to come? That's a wrap for now. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay on top of all things Buffalo Bills, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what you think in the comments. See you in the next update.